Hello, everybody. Welcome to ALTL. My name is Maria Suleiman, and I'll be your presenter today. How's everybody doing today? How is everybody doing today? All right. Just a quick tech check. Please let me know if you can hear me and see me. And I'm going to share my screen right now and see my screen. Just type yes in the questions box or raise your hand. Yes, you can. Hello, Jeanette. Hello. Marla says I'm fantastic, can see and hear you. Great to have everybody today. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Catherine. Hi, Willie. Great to have Louis. Hello, everybody. So we have like a minute or two before we get started. If you are new to the AMA LTL community, please let me know where you are joining from today, city and state, and agency or organization. So I want to hear from you. Where are you joining from today? I see the faithfuls are here. Marla, Louis, Jeanette, Michelle Kepler, Fort Wayne, Indiana with the VA. Great to have you. Marla, yes. Bowie as always. Bowie holding you down. We are AMA Consulting. We're located in Atlanta, Maryland, but I live in Bowie, and so excited. My Bowie sister is here. Okay, Catherine is joining from DC, from the DOJ. Great to have you, Catherine. Great to have you. All right, let's get a couple more people. Let me know where you're joining from today. Willie, wow, Marion, Indiana. Okay, Indiana is representing today. So we have a couple of folks from the VA at Indiana today. Great to have you. Great to have you all. Who else? Who else? Let me know where you're joining from. We have a hot topic today. Folks, this is one of those topics that is a hot topic. Manhattan, Kansas, Shelly. Great to have you, Shelly. What agency are you with, Shelly? What organization are you with? Because we also have a following from the small business community. So some of the people who are on here may be business folks or from other organizations and not government, but definitely government folks on here. So please let me know what agency you're joining from, Shelly. USDA. I feel like you have joined the AMA webinar before, LTL webinar, lunchtime learning. Yes, she said, excellent topic. Danica, Dr. Hickman from Birmingham. You said Beham, VA. Is that Birmingham? Is that Birmingham, Alabama? Melody from Houston, Texas. Houston Asylum. Great to have you. Latanya, hi. Great to see you again. Yes, Birmingham. Okay, I want to make sure that I was correct, Danica. Birmingham, Alabama, representing in that. All right, folks, this is a hot topic. And this is one of those topics that you're not going to find in any MBA book. It's probably not going to be talked about in any leadership development program that you have attended. So this is a hot topic that that we are going to delve into today. So I want to start because I do have a lot of content to cover. And guys, I'm always so grateful to have you. Be doing anything else at your lunchtime, but you choose to be a part of the LTL community. And I really appreciate you spending time. So let's jump in and let's talk about today's topic, challenging gender bias in the workplace. So someone had emailed me earlier and she said, can we talk about age bias as well? The reason I made the topic gender because that's the most common bias, but it's not just gender. We face bias sometimes due to our age, due to ethnicity, and so many other reasons. So you could just say challenging bias in the workplace, whatever bias it is. So I just wanted to say that a little bit about the topic. I'm not gonna go by you, but if you're new to AMA LTL, the two things that I do is number one, I run a management consulting firm called AMA Consulting, and I'll talk a little bit on the services that we offer to federal agencies. And the second thing I do, which is my passion, is that I develop leaders. I help leaders develop their competencies to really step into their own leadership philosophy and to be successful and excel in their roles. So by profession. I'm an organizational development consultant and executive coach, ICF certified executive coach, and I work primarily to develop federal leaders. All right, so that is my background and a little bit of AMA Consulting. We offer services in 3 primary areas. So I own the company. We are woman-owned. We are 8A certified. We're also on the GSA schedule. We've been in business for 10 years. The first line of business we offer, obviously under organizational development, is helping offices, programs develop strategy and put it in place, the infrastructure to include performance management to execute that strategy. And then we do what I call people development. So we do a ton of training, leadership development programs, and coaching. Our second line of business, which we call business transformation, is really programs, and we focus on public health programs and education programs, specifically programs that help alleviate the suffering of marginalized populations. So whether it's Head Starts or early childhood programs, mental health, at-risk youth, access to equity, equity in healthcare, those are the programs that we support. And so as part of that, we help the organizations manage their grant process. So we do grant support services and provide technical assistance and training to grantees. Last but not least, on the IT side, we specialize in accessibility and assistive technology. So all federal agencies have to ensure that all their digital assets are accessible, and programs have to ensure that all their digital assets as well as documents that are going public facing are accessible, and that's what we do. So we have a team of 508 testers, 504 engineers to do needs assessment, to do testing and remediation of accessibility, I'm talking too fast, and so my brain is moving faster than my mouth, of digital assets and also documents, making sure that they're accessible. And as part of the work that we do to support grant making organizations, we help with data collection and management. One of the things that we are very good at in supporting agencies is using data to make program decisions, and also using data to drive policy as opposed to just doing what we've always done. So that's who we are in a nutshell. If you are a manager within an agency and you need support with any one of these services, please feel free to reach out to us. I would have a member of my team schedule a meeting with you to talk about your needs. We would love to support your organization. If you have training needs, coaching needs, or program support needs or accessibility needs, please feel free to reach out. Like I said, we're woman-owned. We're an 8A contractor, which means that you can work with us directly. And we are also on the GSA schedule. We have a GSA professional services contract under the NAAQS code for all of these services. All right, so let's get to the heart of the matter today. We are talking about challenging bias. Now, first thing I want to say, if you attended a webinar that I did earlier on about just women taking their place in leadership, I think the topic was women taking their place at the top, women in leadership taking your space at the top, I believe. I gave you a background history of why it is necessary for us to take our place. So if you are a member of a community where traditionally you are not in the lead, or traditionally you're not being treated equitably, whether you are a member of a minority group, or you're female, or you're disabled, or you're not in, whatever it is, whether it's age discrimination that you have the potential to face, whatever it is. I gave a background in that webinar. I'm going to touch on it a little bit on the fact that the institutions have been created to favor certain type of people, okay? And so when you're going up against bias, you're not just challenging a person. You're not just challenging an organization, you're challenging an institution. So it is a matter of David and Goliath. For those of you who are not familiar with David and Goliath, this is a Bible story about a little boy, David, that goes on a fight up against a huge giant that had wiped out like the army, okay? And so this little boy is going up against a giant, and of course you can see that it's not a fair fight. That's the point. It's not a fair fight. So I want to frame this discussion, and a lot of you who are here today, I know that you are here because nobody tells you that you're going to face this type of challenges when you enter the workforce. Nobody trains you on what to do when you're constantly being marginalized, when you're constantly being diminished, when you're constantly being excluded, when you're constantly being looked down on, when someone picks your brain, takes your work, and then doesn't include you in the appreciation or doesn't give you credit. You're constantly being excluded, and you're qualified for the promotion, but it's always someone else that gets it. Nobody tells you what to do. Nobody tells you how you can handle it. Okay. And so this is why we're having this conversation today. And please, guys, if you know me, you know I like to be interactive. So if you have a thought, a question, please put it in the chat box. In the question box, because we are all learning and this is a community, so someone else may be encouraged by a comment or a question that you ask. So please ask a question, put your thoughts, and as things resonate with you, please put it in the questions box. So I want to start with saying, if you are going to challenge anything, it's a fight. It's number one, it's a fight. Number two, it's not a fair fight. You are David and you're going up against Goliath. Okay, these institutions have existed for years, sometimes centuries, favoring a certain type of people. And if you're a woman, if you're a minority, if it's not a fair fight. So, and they're not just going to give you a seat at a table. They're not just going to give you. You're going to have to demand it and ask for it. And that's what we're talking about today. The first thing that you have to do is that you have to be strong. So I always like to start with quotes. Here are some quotes here. And the first one is the one that I really love. You have a choice. You can throw in the towel or you can use it to wipe the sweat off your face. It's a fight, folks. There is going to be sweat, because it's combat. And a lot of times you say, I don't want any drama. I don't want to be in a fight. I just want to do my job and I want to do the right thing. Well, they are not doing the right thing without some push. So there has to be some tug in order for them to do the right thing. And some tug is going to produce sweat. And you don't give up. You don't throw in the towel. Wipe your face, wipe the sweat off your face with a towel, and you keep going. The second quote by T.S. Eliot say, only those who risk going too far can possibly find out how far one can go. And the second thing, it's a risk, right? It's a lot easier to be complacent. It's a lot easier to complain about what you don't have than to step into what you're qualified to do and excel. That's one thing that we don't realize. It's a lot easier to complain, but it's a risk to challenge the status quo and find out how far you can go. The next quote that I really love is, leaders aren't born, they are made. They are made like everything else through hard work, and it's a price you have to pay to achieve the goal. It is hard work to challenge, to go against Goliath. It's hard work. Last but not least, the difference in winning and losing most often is not quitting. And this is the fear that we have. We don't want to challenge because we are afraid that we're going to lose. We are afraid that we're going to be blackballed. We are afraid that it's not going to go the way we thought, and it will end up coming to bite us. And so we quit. And so what I want to share with you today is some pointers to let you know that, number one, losing is not an option as long as you don't quit. Okay, so any questions, comments, anything coming up? I'm going to pause in the chats real quick and see if we have anything here. Sandra, President, a few. I'm looking for your presentation today. All right, great to have you, Sandra, as always. All right, I don't see any questions yet, but please, again, like I said, feel free to post your questions or let me, your comments, anything that comes up for you. All right, so now let's talk about it. So I said the first thing that you have to do is be strong. You have to be strong. You have to be strong, and you have to be strong mentally. You have to have what I call intestinal fortitude. You have to make a decision like, okay, I am not going to remain where I've always been. I'm not going to continue to be excluded. I am going to assert my full self and bring all of who I am to this position. I do have something to offer. I am going to go after the promotion. I am going to speak up when I see something wrong happening. And so you have to be strong. You have to have it within you and make that decision and work on that inner strength. And it's a lot of things that you can do. I'm not going to spend time on that because I talk about that in other webinars like self-awareness, like building your leadership presence. Check out the recordings for those webinars. But you start from, it starts with you because you are the instrument. You are the instrument that's going to fight the giant. Okay. So now once you continue to build your strength, then the next thing is that you have to have a method. You have to have a how. How are you going to tackle the giant? Again, using the story of David and Goliath, if you're not familiar with the story, the giant had been terrorizing this group of people, and they had an army, and they had their traditional weaponry that they were using to try to kill the giants, and they had their armor, but none of that was working. And when David came on the scene, everybody was trying to get David to use traditional armory and the traditional weapons that had been used against the giants. And David was like, no, I have to have my own method because I have something that this giant doesn't know that can kill him. And that's why you have to be strong, because you do have something that you can use against the giant, against the institution, against the bias, but against the discrimination. But you have to know what your method is. So the first thing, 3 steps that I've put here, again, you're not going to find this in any MBA class. You're not going to find this in any leadership training because nobody tells you how to do this. These points have come from 15 years of me coaching leaders who have gone up against a severe opposition. I'm talking about leaders who have been set up and had severe crisis to where they've had to go testify on the Hill about a situation in their agency. So this information gathered from years of coaching leaders who have been in very, very difficult situations and had to fight, like really, really fight. Okay, so the first thing is you have to be clear on your outcome. In developing your method of tackling the giant, you have to be clear on your outcome. What is it? What do you want? Whatever the situation you're facing, whether it's discrimination, whether it's just bias, whether it's a promotion that's being denied, whether it's an active attack against you, whether it's a plot, like people are actively plotting or have plotted something against you that you're now facing, be clear on what the outcome, what is the outcome that you want. Spend time and really figure out what is it that needs to happen or what is it that needs to change that will define success for you. How do you define success? You need to be clear on that. I'm going to expand upon that later. Second point, you have to craft and execute a strategy. You can't just be willy-nilly. You can't act out of emotion. You can't do what worked for someone else or some other group somewhere else in some other agency, because your agency, your organization is unique. It has its own policies. It has its own a stratosphere of power. And so you have to have your unique strategy. And third, but not last, you have to have the mentality that you're championing a cause. You have to move away from your own feelings and how the bias is impacting you personally and make it about the issue. The more you take the focus away from you and more on the issue, the greater chance you have at success. And I'll explain to you why. So quickly, let's tackle these 3 points. Number one, how do you gain clarity? How do you become clear on what it is that you want? First and foremost, you need to know what the issue is. What is the issue? What is the problem? You know, what exactly is going on? Is this gender discrimination? Is this an organization that has been traditionally run by males and there is fear that power is going to be taken away from them? And so they intentionally put roadblocks for you as a female where you're not able to fully maximize your potential. So what is the issue? Is the situation that is the issue that there's just not enough of you, right? And so the agency sometimes they use that as an excuse and say, well, we can't find anyone else who can do this work. Only these people can do this work. And the issue is that you need to convince them, go the extra step, convince them that, yes, you can step into this role. So it's an issue of selling, or not selling, but marketing more your skills. So what is the problem? Like, you need to be on that. And one of the ways to gain that clarity is research. Find out what's going on. Do you know that you can find out if your agency has like EEO cases? You know, there are tools. Research your equal employment office. Know who they are. You find out those cases are publicly published. They're published publicly. So you can find out if similar cases have been taking place, so that you can really establish the pattern and what the issue is. Do your research. 9 times out of 10, this is not unique to you. This is happening to someone else within that agency. If it's a real problem, then trust me, it's impacting other people and it's not impacting you alone. So do your research, find out what exactly is going on, and then that will help you start to get clarity on what exactly you want. The second way, again, to gain clarity is to study. A lot of times we don't set time to go back and review. We don't study, we don't observe. You know, like, we know what's going on, but we can't really name it. We can't really define it because we haven't stepped back from it to study. We are in it. Our emotions are in it. We're upset. We feel down. We feel rejected. We feel like exhausted because it feels like we've been fighting this battle. If we're constantly criticized, if it's an issue of constant criticism, you don't step back from, okay, how is this impacting me, to say, okay, what's here? So study your environment. If it's with a particular boss, a particular man, observe this person, study them, listen to their language. It will help you gain clarity of what exactly you want. The third point on how to gain clarity is self-reflection. This is something that I preach about. If you don't do it already, if there's one thing you take out of this webinar today, spend 10 minutes. Let me just pull back and say 5 minutes. 10 minutes is long. 5 minutes of time just reflecting on this situation of bias or discrimination that you're facing. Reflect on it and say, you know, why is this bothering me? Why do I even feel like I'm being discriminated against, or there is bias? Ask yourself questions like, why is this? What exactly happened? What was different for me versus other people who were in the meeting? Why did I feel like I was being targeted in that meeting? It will help you start to be clear on whether this is a real issue or this is something that you are receiving differently because there are things that you need to work on within yourself. Okay, so self-reflection is very, very important. And just sitting down and pausing for 5 minutes and asking these questions is helpful. Journaling is another way for self-reflection. Just sitting in quiet and listening to your thoughts, paying attention to what's going on internally, it will help you gain clarity for what you want. The last point in terms of being clear what you want is that you have to believe that you can. I think a lot of times we are already like closed in with doubt, that we can't see possibilities. We are closed in with doubt. This is how it has been. I've been at this agency 40 years, not 40, that's an exaggeration. I've been at this agency 10 years, it never changed. So-and-so had to go until they retired, you know, so we are walled in with doubt. But you cannot be successful in challenging and tackling the giant if you don't believe. You have to believe. You have to know that you can achieve what it is that you want. And for everyone, it may be different, okay? So for some people, what they want to achieve is to get that promotion. For other people, what they want to achieve is to stop being disrespected at meetings. For other people, what they want to achieve is to really, really be included and not be excluded from decision-making conversations, not be looked down on. For other people, they want to really challenge someone who's abusing them, someone who's constantly criticizing their work, nitpicking at them, criticizing everything they do, and they don't do it to others. Okay? So whatever it is that you want, you have to believe that you can and you deserve that. You know, so this is something that you have to work through internally, is to figure out those, and this is where self-reflection can really help you, because through self-reflection, you can start to see where you have created walls of doubt around yourself that stop you from even seeing the possibilities. And when I say the first point is knowing what you want, you won't believe how difficult it is for you to articulate what it is you really want. Because sometimes we feel like we can't have it, or it's not available, or those possibilities don't exist, but they do if you really do the work, believe, okay? I hope this is helping so far. Please let me know if this is helpful and if things are coming up for you, or if I've spoken to something that you're experiencing. By the way, this is a safe space. I don't know your supervisor. I don't know, nobody here knows the details of what you're going through. So feel free to say, yeah, if I've touched on something, a particular event, or something that you are currently encountering by way of bias or discrimination, whether it's the constant attacks or a constant criticism, or whether it's promotion, lack of promotion, or whether it's lack of access into decision making conditions, I want to hear about it. Put it in the questions box. Okay, the next step is that you have to have a plan. Okay, you have to have a plan. So first and foremost, you have to give yourself, okay, I'm dealing with this issue. What timeline am I going to give myself to address it? Okay, what timeline am I going to give myself to confront it, to challenge it? What is my game plan? Okay, what are the things that I need to do? Okay, and excuse me, for some of you, it may be having a difficult conversation with the supervisor. Well, if you're going to have a difficult conversation with the supervisor, you don't just knock on the door and say, hey, I need to talk to you. You got to have a plan. You say, okay, I want to have a conversation with this person in 3 months. The first thing I need to do is to gather information. I need to do my research. I need to be clear on what is it I'm going to go in and ask for. I need to believe that I want that and I'm going to get it. I need to do my work. I need to do my self-reflection. You give yourself the time for that. Okay, what are the other activities I need to do? Well, I need to reach out to them and request a meeting. I need to plan that email. What's the information that's going to go in there? I need to maybe seek for help from colleagues or mentors or other people who have dealt with this person on some pointers to prepare myself. I need to physically, mentally, emotionally be strong for a model. They say no, what do I do? Those activities, break them up, plan it out, set milestones, okay? Because what that does, what planning helps to do is it helps to take off the anxiety and the stress and the fear that comes with challenging a situation, addressing a situation, confronting a situation. Planning helps to take away the anxiety and fear that comes with it, okay? And so celebrate small wins. So for example, when you become clear on what it is you're going to ask for, whether you're going to go ask for respect, whether you're going to go ask for equal time in meetings, whether you're going to go ask for more visibility on the projects that you're working on, whatever it is that you're going to ask for, celebrate the small wins. If you have been able to get audience with that decision maker or that person that you feel like is going to make a shift in bias or discrimination that you're facing, that is something that you should celebrate. What does that do? That keeps you motivated. It keeps you going. So the celebration is that quote of wiping sweat off your face. You know, when you finally get the meeting, celebrate that. When you become clear on what it is that you want, celebrate the fact that you've been able to articulate. That takes a lot of guts and grit to say, actually, I do want that job. You know, I want it. I feel like I can do it. I have the capability. I'm going to bring value to the team. And so I'm going to go after it. Celebrate the fact that you were able to get there, because you weren't always able to do that. At some point, you were always relegated to the background. So the celebration helps you, it keeps you motivated and it keeps you going. And then reevaluate constantly. So again, using the example of going, scheduling a meeting for a difficult conversation. What if you get a no? What if you reach out to the person and say, well, no, I don't want to talk to you about this matter. Then you do. You have to reevaluate. You have to readjust. You have to go back and check what other options are there. Again, you want to know what's going on in your agency. I can't tell you the amount of leaders that I coach that are so focused on their work, focused on their team. They don't know what's going on outside that until something happens to them. And then that's when they want to start to scramble together. You need to know what the policies are. You need to know what your EEO office does, your mediators, those who are assigned to your office. Have those contacts And it's not to say, you want to go report somebody, or you just want to know what the policy, what is available to you, what are the options. So if this doesn't work, I know what other step to take. Okay. So planning, planning, planning. That's the second step. And then the last step is championing. And this is where we miss it. Okay, this is where we miss it. And I tell you why, because we take it so personal. Have you ever thought about class action lawsuits? Why people do class action lawsuits? The reason they do class action lawsuits is because it is easier for a group of people to go after a large organization than just one person. Okay, because if it's just one person, they can say, oh, it's you're disgruntled, or no. So cultivate the mindset of a champion. And what does a champion do? A champion identifies where all these issues are being duplicated in other places. So it's more about the issue than you. Okay. Also, connect what you want to the objectives of the organization. Make it clear that you're not just looking to stir up trouble, or you're not just looking for confrontation's sake. You are interested in the workplace being equitable, workplace being safe for all, so that the objectives of the organization can be achieved. Tie it into the benefit of the organization. Again, this takes the focus less off of you and more into the issue and the organization. And so that's the championing mindset. Instead of me, them versus us, it's more of the championing mindset. Again, I've said it, put the focus on the issue, not on you. Okay. And whenever you have to confront, whenever you have to have that difficult conversation, whenever you have to present your case, if it has gone up to EEO and there's mediation, you always want to be respectful and courteous, because these are some of the ways that they can divert. They can say, oh, well, she was unprofessional, or he was unprofessional, he was disrespectful, he was insubordinate, he was not following the You don't want to give them any opportunity to divert, because trust me, the Goliath does not want to fall down. They enjoy the power, they enjoy the privilege, they enjoy being, unfortunately, that's the reality of human nature. Human nature is the survival. If they feel like you being equitable to them is going to take some power away, they're not going to want to do it. So they want to divert. So being respectful, being courteous, following the policy, making sure that you are doing everything in alignment with the policy of your organization, so that they don't have an opportunity to divert. And last but not least, don't cross the line, because that's what they really want you to do. They want to provoke you to cross the line. They want to provoke you to say, well, you know what? If you all are not going to listen to me, then I'm not going to submit my report. So I'm not going to do this. And then they've got you, because now your emotions have ruled, and you strategies, you didn't reevaluate, you didn't recruit others, you didn't get inputs, you didn't solicit support. And so now you've crossed the line, and they can hold that. And this is what happens all the time. And you know why it happens is because we were never taught. I experienced something I used to be a former Fed. I worked for FEMA, and then I worked for SBA. I experienced discrimination. I'm not going to call the agency where I did, and it was an issue. I had to get an attorney. And I had to go through everything with the agency. But here's the thing, though. I didn't have the skills at that time. And so there were so many things that were going on. And sometimes they provoke you to cross the line, so that then they can say, this is what you did. And it was never about that to begin with. But because you don't have the skills or know how to really challenge, then when you cross the line and you're not intentionally, whatever that crossing the line is, whether you go off at a meeting or whatever it is, or you tune out, or you're not engaged, or your productivity drops, when you do that, then they hold on to that. And then they have a case, and it's now your word versus their word. So these are the strategies for challenging a challenging bias that we need to be aware of. And that's why strength is very important. That's why clarity of what you want. So you're not just fighting to fight, you're going after something, you're clear on what it is that you want, and you stay focused on that, because they'll try to pull you in different directions. This is all the content that I have. 30 out of hear from you all. Let me know your thoughts. So question, what are your suggestions beside being courteous for when they attack you and use that diversion tactic? I have been perceived as not being courteous, my bad, but my contention is that any perceived bad behavior does not justify discriminating against me. It's like saying I deserve to be sexually assaulted because I wear a short skirt. That's right, Dr. Melchi. It's important that you work on that. That's just the reality, is that you have to eliminate that. So it's not about them, it's about you. If they have a diversion tactic, they're going to keep using, explaining that until you take that off the table. You are in control of that, and you have to take that off the table. Okay, so if you are being perceived about being coded, this is where self-reflection comes in. You have to sit down with yourself and say, okay, so this is now inhibiting me from getting what it is I want. And so how do I deal with this? How do I address it? What are the triggers? So when they start to want to say things, how do I identify those triggers, and what are some mechanisms to not fall into the trap? Because they know that this is a weak spot for you. They know that when they set that trap, you're going to go off, and then they can just keep playing the cycle over and over again. So what is the way that you stop the diversion tactic? You take that option off for them, work on that, work on being in charge of your negative emotions. I know it's hard. It is very hard. And trust me, your emotions are triggered when someone is constantly demeaning you. This is a soul matter. It's not about skills, it's about a soul, because it's like the only reason they're demeaning you is because you're just a human and different from them. So I understand that, but you got to do that deep work to take that option off the table for them. Okay, I hope that was helpful. Next question. Chelsea says, thank you, love your voice. For me, that you're welcome. Thank you for that compliment. I love your voice. Oh, that really touched me. For me, it's lack of access to decision-making meetings and being dismissed. Thank you for your strength. Yeah. So Chelsea, I'm glad that you articulated that through this webinar. So now the question is, what do you want? So what you want is, I want to be included in the decision-making because I have a perspective to offer that is of great value to the outcome of that decision. That's what you want. So you articulate that, and then you start to do your planning on that. So that's great. Thanks for that feedback. Any other questions, comments? Questions, comments? Hold on, let me see. Make sure that I didn't miss anything here. So Jeanette says, it's like female soldiers, it's taking decades for women to prove their capability. I know. And the challenging thing about having to prove your capability, it will be okay if you just have to, everybody has to prove your capability. Like, you have to show why you can do the job. But let me tell you, the challenge that we women face is that before we get to the table where we prove our capability, we have already been defined as less than. So we already put in a negative, but we are already at a deficit. We already have been defined as less than, as not capable, as not able, as too emotional, as can't lead, as not tough enough, as not strategic enough, as not everything enough, right? So we already defined in the deficit. So now we are not just trying to prove our capabilities, we're trying to prove a false negative wrong. And that is hard to do. You are trying to prove a false negative wrong. So it's deeper than just saying we're trying to prove our capabilities, Jeanette. Is more that, okay, first and foremost, we have to prove the negative wrong. We have to first prove that, yes, we can lead. Yes, we can make tough decisions. Yes, we are strategic. We have to prove that negative box that they put us in. We have to disprove all of that first before we then prove our capabilities. So again, that's why I said it's a fight. It's David and Goliath, but the clarity on what you're facing and the clarity of what you want and the planning helps to take that load off. It helps to take the anxiety and the fear and frankly, the self-esteem issues that we start to develop as a result of this off. Great points, very great points, Jeanette. Catherine said, this is great. I would love to get a copy of the slides. We don't give out slides because I always refresh the content. but the posting will be on our YouTube page, so you can feel free to refer back to that at any time. So Dr. Milchi had a follow-up. Okay, let me see. No, you didn't. That was just a question. So Jeanette says very true. Yeah, absolutely. So questions, more comments, any other thoughts? I do want to hear from you all. Thoughts? I know it's 12:36 and everybody has to go back to work, but I hope this content was helpful. Catherine says, okay, great. How do I find your YouTube page? Just go to YouTube and search AMA Consulting. And Erica, my wing woman, is here with me, and she's going to post, we actually send it out when we do the email follow-up after every webinar. I believe, Erica, we send out the YouTube page. Or Erica, you can post it in the questions box, the link to the YouTube page, so that everybody can see it. Okay, Catherine, I hope that answers your question. Okay, I'm happy to stay on for 1 minute if you have a question. I feel like there's somebody who has a question about a specific issue and they're hesitant to ask and they're lingering. I'm going to stay on for 30 more seconds. If you do want to ask your question, I'll be happy to at least shed light on it and give you some pointers. All right. There is the question I was waiting for. Sarah, thank you for being brave. I work in the VA, which is a very hierarchical organization and male dominated. When women have a Senate executive leadership, so we haven't necessarily seen things change. I'm wondering if you have thoughts on what contributes to this or how women can support other women once in leadership roles. So yeah, Sarah, so this is what I was talking about. Like what we're dealing with is not an individual thing, it's an institutional thing that has existed for decades and years. And so it's not something that will change. And let me tell you the reason why. Number one, we haven't seen things change. And the reason why women don't know how we can support other women and bring other women is because we haven't been taught. You know, it's very hard for you to do something that you haven't seen modeled in front of you. So we are just on the forefront now of women taking their place at the top. And I believe that with content like this and conversations like this going forward, we now have the skills and the competencies. So if you haven't walked through this process and successfully challenged Goliath, one, you don't know how to help someone else do it. So it's not a lot of times that women in leadership roles don't want to help other women or bring other women, is that they're fighting their own battles and they're barely even surviving with their Goliath. So I got to kill my Goliath first before I can help you with killing your Goliath. You see what I'm saying? So it's the lack of the competencies, the lack of the skill, lack of the conversations are not being had, frankly, on, okay, what are the, how did you actually go through this? What are the steps and what can I do? And then once you go through it, then you can pull others too. You know, it's like when you're in an airplane and the oxygen is down, they said, tell you put your mask on. The reason why other women are not helping other women go through this is because they're still struggling to put their mask on. You know, this information is not there. Like I said, they're not going to teach you this in a leadership development class, traditional leadership development class. The ones that we do, we talk about things like this, but they don't. They give you cookie cutter information about building competency and ECQs, which is fine. We do that. But the real life, how do you deal with the real life situation, the leader, when you're facing a position in a very hierarchical organization? Most people don't talk about that. And so the more we have these conversations, the more we expose this content to the leaders who are currently in that fight and they build themselves, then we can have the duplication, right? We can grow more leaders who have the resilience and the toughness to go against Goliath and win. I hope that was helpful, Sarah. All right, folks, this has been so much fun. You could tell that I enjoy doing this and talking about this because this is real. I hope that this was helpful today and you've taken some nuggets that you are going to apply. If you are dealing with a current situation with discrimination, bias, if you're currently working in a male-dominated organization, I would say definitely know that you're not crazy. There is a real battle. It's a battle that you're fighting, a real Goliath. And if you follow these steps, you will win. If you don't give up, you will win. And then you'll be able to bring other women and bring other people into the fold and show them how to win as well. Have a great rest of the week, folks. And I look forward to our next AMA LTL. I'll just let you know the topics that we have coming up. May 15th, we have I'm sorry, I had to, increasing your political savvy. And this is another juicy topic. Again, nobody's going to tell you about this. How do you wield power? How do you understand the power pockets in your organization and wield power? And then we're going to have another topic in May, a webinar for beginner supervisors and managers. So if you're just stepping into that supervisory role, quick nuggets on how you can be effective. And this is our contact information. Send me an email. I want to hear from you guys. If you guys have money and you have a budget and you want to bring us into your organization for leadership development or for change management or any of the other services that we offer, please feel free to reach out. We'd love to get a member of my team to talk to you. And guys, it's been real. It's been great. Jeanette says, thank you. You're welcome. So glad to have you on here, ladies. Latonya, you're welcome. Great to have you as always. All right, everybody, take care and have a great rest of the day. Until next time. I say enjoyed it as usual. Absolutely. Michelle, you're welcome. You're welcome. Everybody take care. Bye.